Good morning. If you remember a few videos back, I talked about procrastination and the reasons we procrastinate. One of the biggest reasons is not knowing how to do what we believe we need to do. Now, that's actually quite a simple fix. It comes down to confidence. And confidence is fairly easy. I'm not going to call it easy. It's simple to fix. It's not always easy, but it's simple to fix. And actually in this case, usually it's simply about learning skills that you don't currently have. So if you don't know how to do something, learn how to do it. That's all it is. Now, there are different ways to learn how to do something. You can read books on something. You can go to seminars. You can go to live group coaching sessions. You can hire a mentor or a coach. You can take courses academically. There's so many ways you can learn. But what I'd like to do is talk about kind of the best ways that I've found that most people learn. Most people learn best when they're in a group environment and they have a specific teacher that is fantastic at what they do. Now, I don't mean academics. Usually academic environments are not the best for learning. Usually the best learning I found are seminars or online events or whatever that is spread out over time. So if it's condensed into a short period of time, it can be useful because you separate the time. But usually if it's carried out over the course of like 2 or 3 months, it ends up usually being fantastic. Now, I have a program like this. It's called Fundamentals, where I give people the basic skills of business that they need to learn. But again, that's just the basics. What we're talking about today for procrastination, if you lack confidence, is getting really good at something, delving into some one skill and becoming great at it. Typically, the way I do this is I will separate I separate at least a 6-month period of time to learn something new. And I encourage the same for you. If you can learn something in 2 days, typically it's not holding you back, okay? It can be. But I don't know how useful it is to learn usually in that case. Usually I like, again, marketing, sales, bigger things. I take a while to learn them, but I learn them well. And then I'm able to utilize them. Typically for most people, what I'd recommend is going to group sessions carried out over a period of time. Seminars are fantastic for motivation, for getting you geared up, but then they don't have a lot of lasting value for most people, in my experience. I love them, but for most people, they don't work really well. Here's what I would recommend. If you want to learn and you want to set up a learning plan so that you can stop procrastination and take action on something, what I would suggest is this 3-step method. First of all, read something on that subject for at least 25-30 minutes a day. Every single day. Or you know what? No. I'd say at least 20 minutes, okay? Ideally 30 minutes, at least 20 minutes every day. And usually I do this in the morning. I read something for at least 20 to 30 minutes every single morning. So I'm learning and growing. Now you can do this with language, you can do this with typing skills, you can do sales and marketing, whatever it is that's holding you back right now and the skill you need to learn, okay? So that's the first step. Secondly, what I would do is try to get as much online training as I can. And I would be really finicky about who I'm learning from. Make sure that you're learning from people that not only have done something of value in their lives, but are also a great mentor or teacher. There's a difference between people who are good at something and those who can teach it. Well, you've got professional athletes that are fantastic, top of their field, legendary. They are not necessarily great coaches themselves. We've seen this. Hockey gave a great example where Wayne Gretzky was one of the top athletes of all time in hockey, and yet when he coached, he wasn't very good at it, okay? There's a difference between people who can do something and who can teach it. So find somebody for that second step, read about it. Second step, find somebody who can teach you in a group atmosphere. But what I'd suggest is find somebody who's a good teacher. Find somebody who walks people through the process, doesn't simply talk about their success stories. Every coach, every leader has success stories. Because if you work with people, eventually some people are going to get it, right? But really try to find people who mesh with you and fit your style in some ways. And then the third one, and the third tool that you can utilize are audiobooks. Audiobooks are magical. You can listen. Most people drive for at least, an hour a day? Half an hour to an hour a day? That's it. Most people's lives, 5 days a week, are driving for at least 30 to 60 minutes a day. If you could utilize that time to learn and grow, that would be fantastic. Now, typically what I do is, so I read books and I listen to audio programs. What I do is I've got a really unique system that I've come up for myself that works for me. I hope you can utilize some of these skills for yourself. But what I do, if a book is more in depth, it's something that I need to highlight and really think about, I buy the hard copy and I use that to read. If I'm listening to biographies, so somebody who's done something great, or it is simply an encouragement, or it's lighter reading, typically for that I will listen to the audiobook. So concurrently, I'm always reading books that I need to focus on a little bit more. I'm listening to books that can give me a little more content. I'm also going to throw in another tip with there. When it comes to audio books, I highly suggest audible.com. If you're in Canada, don't use audible.ca. It's junk. Use audible.com. And I'm always on the full package, so I'm constantly listening to books all the time. But it comes with a bunch of free stuff. It comes with a bunch of ability to make use of like mindfulness techniques and health routines and other things that are really helpful. Not only that, I also utilize a company called thegreatcourses.com. One word, thegreatcourses.com. Fantastic. They've got a plus service, kind of like Netflix, where you pay a monthly fee. You can learn so much on this program. It depends on what you're learning, but you can learn gads on this program and consistently grow yourself, grow in business, grow in influence, grow in communication, grow in listening skills. There are lots of soft skills that they work on. Now it's going to be a little bit more expensive. I think it's about $15-20 a month or whatever, but it's fantastic information, and they can come with audio as well, audio programs. So those are some resources. I hope you find what works for you. If every once in a while I come across somebody who says, well, Mark, I'm not really a reader. I don't like reading. In my experience, people who don't like reading simply haven't done it a lot. If you do it, reading, the magic of reading is that you get to think the same thoughts that somebody who is better than you at something also thought. So I can read the thoughts, I can think the thoughts of people like, I don't know, people from 2,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago, that wrote an idea down, and I can think those same thoughts. One of my favorite philosophers is Zhuangzi. He's from China, and just a great thinker, and I love reading his thoughts. I get to think the same thoughts. That's magical. I get to think the same thoughts as somebody who was greater than me at something. It's helpful on so many levels. So find what works for you. I'd encourage you to read. If you don't read yet, learn how to read. You can take courses, you can practice, and you'll get better at it very quickly. And make a consistent effort of investing in yourself and your own education. That will often take away procrastination, which helps with time. You end up being far more efficient with your time when you're not procrastinating. Remember, as always, you've got this.